The intensity of fighting in Pokrovsk has decreased, but the Russians are not abandoning their plans to occupy the city. As the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrskyi, said on the telethon broadcast, Pokrovsk is now a continuous fortified area. According to him, there are several places where the Russians managed to get through the engineering barriers, but the Ukrainian armed forces know exactly where these places are, so the situation is generally under control. Syrskyi noted that there are also plans B and C for all possible developments. However, the enemy is not giving up on their plans for occupation. In the Pokrovsk area, the Russians have concentrated 50,000 troops. This information was also confirmed by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, during a conversation with journalists on November 7th. The enemy's number one goal is to occupy Pokrovsk as soon as possible. This goal remains unchanged. According to our military, there are 314 Russians in the city itself, but the group stationed around the city is very large. In an interview with The Guardian, the head of state stated that the fiercest and most brutal fighting is currently taking place in the Donetsk region. But there, the occupiers have suffered heavy losses and have not achieved success. As military counterintelligence officer, SBU Colonel Roman Chervinsky told Kyiv 24 TV channel, although the Russian occupiers have still not managed to capture Pokrovsk, the enemy has cut off logistics. Therefore, the command must now decide whether to continue the defense with new forces or to withdraw units from the city. We see that Pokrovsk has nevertheless held out. But thanks to flanking attacks and flanking maneuvers, the enemy has still achieved its goal. They have cut off logistics. In fact, our unit is now almost in operational encirclement. At the same time, analysts from the Institute for the Study of War report that the pace of the Russian offensive in and around Pokrovsk has temporarily slowed down. According to the report, there is currently no evidence that Russian forces have launched additional offensives in the Pokrovsk direction as of November 9. A military intelligence source reported that Russian forces are present in most areas of Pokrovsk but are unable to encircle the city. At the same time, the enemy continues to block the logistical support of the Ukrainian armed forces in Myrnohrad. As of 8 a.m. on November 10th, according to data from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ukrainian defenders have repelled 97 enemy attacks in the Pokrovsk direction. In the Kostiantynivka direction, the enemy carried out 29 attacks. In the Oleksandrivka direction, the defense forces repelled 27 enemy assaults in the areas of the settlements of Yalta, Ivanivka, Zelenaya Rosha, Oleksandrograd, Novoselivka, Sekneve, Aristopol, Stepne, Rybne, Zlahoda, Verbove, and towards the settlement of Andriivka, Klevtsova. The other directions remain less tense. Over the past day, the losses of the Russian occupation forces amounted to 1,090 personnel. Ukraine's defense forces also neutralized 7 tanks, 7 armored combat vehicles, 9 artillery systems, and 57 UAVs.